everyone, my name is Mia. Welcome to my channel, Mia Arabella, and today I am going to be doing my January 2019 book wrap-up. So this month I read 8 books. You know, considering that it was the summer holidays, maybe it's not that great, but for me it's pretty great because last year was not the best reading year. So the first book that I read this year was called What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. So I read What If It's Us on this app called BorrowBox, which is this app that allows you to borrow books and audiobooks on your phone. So you can read books that you are interested in for free without buying them or going to a library, so that's great. So I liked What If It's Us. I gave it 3 stars. Basically, it's about these 2 guys that meet each other for the first time at a post office in New York City, but then they can't find each other and they don't know each other's names, so they try and find each other again. And I thought that was really cute, but then once they actually find each other, I didn't really care anymore. It's kind of like, I just think contemporary romances are not for me. I mean, with the exception of some books, but most of the time nothing really happens and it's more character driven rather than plot driven, and I'm more of a plot driven book person. So the next book I read was called Thicker Than Water by Bridget Kemmerer. I remember I read this in 2017 and I really liked it. It's basically this kind of mystery book about this guy in the small town, and everyone thinks, well, a lot of people think that he killed his mum because no one knows how his mum died. It's just this whole mystery, but my favorite part of the book is just the tension, because there's so much tension. Like, there's 2 main characters which they just really work together well, but also there's like the suspense and there's this tension between him and everyone in the town that hates him, and it's just really fun. I think I liked it a little bit less than the first time I read it, but that's because I knew everything that would happen, but still, it was a really well done book, and it's just a great thing to read through the night. It's really engaging. So I believe I gave it 5 stars again. The next book I read was called Like a House on Fire by Kate Kennedy. This was a short story collection I had to read for English class for school. I gave it 2 stars because, you know, it was okay. My favourite story was the last one. I think it's called 72 Derwents. That one was really good. That's the only one that like really made me want to read it. The rest were just like, The next book that I read was an audiobook called Cinder by Marissa Meyer. And this is a book that's like been really popular for so many years. And for so many years I just didn't read it. I don't know why. Once I tried to read it a couple of years ago, but I just couldn't get into it. But this time I listened to it and it was really, like, once I got past the first couple of chapters, it got really addicting. So I gave Cinder 4 stars, and I think even though the writing was pretty juvenile and the plot was pretty predictable, I think it was just still really entertaining. So yeah, this was the first time in a long time I had listened to an audiobook, and it was actually like a pretty good experience. It was pretty fun, and yes, I also read this using the BorrowBox app. So after listening to Cinder, the logical thing to do next was listen to the second book in the series called Scarlet. Now this one, I believe I only gave it 3 or 2 stars. Let me check. I gave it 3 stars, and Scarlet so far in the Lunar Chronicles is my least favourite book. The thing with Scarlet was I didn't find the plot that interesting. I felt like nothing much had happened. We also got introduced to 2 new characters, Scarlet and Wolf, and though I liked Scarlet, I honestly didn't really care about Wolf, not that much, and I just didn't really care about the plot that much, except for Cinder and Thorn's storyline. And oh my god, we first got introduced to the character Thorn, who at the moment is probably one of my favourite characters in the series so far. So after reading Scarlet, I read another book for school called Foreign Soil by Maxine Beneba Clark, and this was another short story collection. I had to read it for literature class. So basically it's a collection of stories about these people from all different backgrounds that are all marginalised, I suppose. And it was okay. I mean, some stories I really didn't like. One of my favourite stories is called Foreign Soil, so it's named after the collection. And that one was really good. The next book I read was another Lunar Chronicles book, and that was Cress. And Cress Cress was really good. This is my favorite Lunar Chronicles book so far. I have yet to finish Winter. I didn't get to start it during January, so I'm reading it at the moment. I really loved Cress. Basically, I liked Cress as a character. Thorn plays a prominent role in this book, so I love them together. That's one of the reasons I loved it so much. And in this book, so much happened. Like, so much happened. I think maybe it's longer than the other books. I'm not sure, but it was just really entertaining. Cress is not high literature, but it is pure enjoyment. And that's why I loved it. And I think I gave it 5 stars, so yes. I'm really excited to finish the last book in the series, but I know that I'm going to be really sad too. Because after I finished Cress, I just felt really empty inside. And it was sad. And then the last book that I read this January is another pretty popular book on booktube, and it is called The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I think it came out a couple of years ago, and I know that the second one in the series, called The Wicked King, just came out recently. And this book I had mixed feelings about, because I think Holly Black's writing is really beautiful, her descriptions are really lovely, and there were so many parts about this book I liked. Like, I liked the characters, I liked Jude, even though she's like a pretty terrible person. I just love any female character that is like ruthlessly ambitious, like Lady Macbeth vibes, because, I don't know, ambition is something I really just admire, I guess. And even though she's like terribly ambitious, it's still really entertaining to read about. And I also liked Carden. Well, okay, I didn't like him. He's a terrible person. But I think their relationship is interesting because they're both terrible, so they're perfect for each other. And I also liked how this book was extremely dark for a YA, and how Holly Black explores like morality in a really twisted way that most YA books don't. Most YA books are like good versus evil, I suppose. Like, even Cinder and the Lunar Chronicles is pretty much good versus evil, even though sometimes they might do like a tiny questionable thing. Like, Thorn is like technically a criminal, and so is Cinder, she's a fugitive. It isn't like The Cruel Prince, because The Cruel Prince is like pretty twisted. Even though I have said all those good things about The Cruel Prince, there is one main thing that let me down, and that was the plot. The book features these politics, these fairy politics. I probably should have mentioned it's a book set in the fairy court. But anyway, there's all these fairy politics that I didn't really care about. There was a plot twist that I didn't really bat my eyes at. Yeah, just, if the plot was amazing, it could have been an amazing book. But it was just, I wasn't really invested in it. And as you know, a plot is like a pretty important thing. So even though everything else about the book was really good, the plot just really lowered my rating for me. So I gave it 3 stars. So those are all the books that I read in January. I feel like it was a pretty eventful reading month. I mean, I read some school books, that was kind of painful. I read some popular books, I read some cute books. I think I read like a lot of actually pretty good books, like not that many that I felt pretty indifferent about, which was good. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know. And tell me if you have read any of these books. You probably have. A lot of them are pretty popular. And tell me your opinions about them. Okay, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!